Alright, hello everyone, I'm Lonnie,
I'm Amberlicious.
and we are Untitled Nerd Network, brought to you by Infinity Flux out of Hickson, Tennessee, and this is the review for the third episode of X-Files 11th season. This one was called Plus One. Remember, we are doing this one live. We'll be taking a little bit of chat in the on the YouTube live video and all that good stuff. We are live, I see. Yay. Anyway, there will be spoilers for the third episode of X-Files 11th season. There's actually, as of this recording, one more episode after this. There's 4 episodes total. Devasso, hey, yo, man, welcome to the stream.
Hey, Devasso.
Thank you for dropping in on time this time.
I feel like I hadn't seen him in a while.
Yeah, it's like, well, I mean, it's a Sunday night. Everybody's kind of gearing down. You know, there's no Walking Dead. There's no Game of Thrones. We're kind of in that.
There's some X-Files. Oh, that's okay. I'm down with that.
Yep. So anyway, X-Files, this episode, I'm just going to go ahead and say this episode, I liked it more than the last one. This episode's going to get a 9.5 from me. It wasn't perfect because I thought that the characters that they went up against, the woman and her, brother,
yeah.
I thought that they were a little over the top.
They were a little over the top, but I guess they kind of had to be, considering what was going on.
This was one of those really... Did you ever see the episode called Small Potatoes?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Where they had like the genie.
Well, I mean, yeah, he was a morpher.
Yeah.
He could morph himself into other people. He also had a tail.
Well, he could grant wishes. Remember the people wished for the boat, and he made that boat appear like in the middle of their yard, and they didn't have anywhere to get rid of it or anything.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of over the top goofy. And X-Files has...
They have episodes like
some of those. One of my favorite was God, what was the guy's name? It was the guy's name, and it was his book. It Came from Outer Space or something like that. And it was where Scully was telling him for his book, like this alien encounter that had happened that her and Scully had to investigate. And it got so crazy there for a little, like the story that she's telling is they actually had a guy who cussed a lot, and whenever he would talk to him, he would be like, boy, that's the blanking weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like, he would say blank instead of like cuss words.
I remember that.
And they actually had Men in Black on there, and they were Jesse Ventura and Alex Trebek.
Yes, that was a very goofy episode. Wow.
I love that episode. It's one of my favorites.
One,
and it was one of those I didn't really appreciate until like years later.
Devasso said, I don't watch TV, but I came for you anyway. He said he's doing a bunch of stuff now, but he's always here on Sundays.
Well, hey, I thoroughly appreciate watching.
Making time for us. I appreciate that.
So what this episode was about is you've got this brother and sister. The brother, wasn't he like a guard at the jail?
Yeah.
And then his sister is locked up in this mental asylum, and they play like a telepathic game of hangman that causes whoever it is that they have in mind, a name, to be killed by like their evil doppelganger.
That's crazy. That's so crazy.
They end up, in the end, of course, Mulder and Scully both see their doppelgangers at some point. And this brother-sister combo end up, in the end, writing each other's names down and killing each other.
Yeah, because it's like they finally figured out we really need to stop.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. Or at least, maybe they didn't figure, their alter egos figured out they needed to kill them. But
this was really, really weird. And I didn't really get what was going on until about 2/3 of the way through the episode. But let's quit beating around the bush on this one. The story was cool, but the real meat of this episode was the Mulder Scully dynamic. And
yeah.
they ended up, I believe, I'm going to say that they hooked up at about the midway point of the episode, because when Mulder got out of bed, Scully was laying in the bed with nothing but a sheet on. That's what I was telling you.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I just happened to be looking at my phone.
yeah, I was like, isn't that just something? And so I'm like, good. And so later on in the episode, like at the very end, after everything's solved, and they have like their separate hotel rooms, and Mulder says something along the lines of, you want to come over to my room, for a couple hours or something like that. And she was like, well, that's probably not going to happen. And then when he closes the door behind him, she's like, on second thought. And when she walks over and opens the door, he's standing there waiting on her. I loved it.
It was great.
Like, probably the most satisfying moment of the X-Files in general.
Probably.
And I'm gonna give the episode a 9.5 on that. One of those moments that I've been wanting to see. They really gave themselves. They really did a lot of exploring and like soul searching about what their lives are going to be like after they retire.
Yeah.
Scully's starting to have these issues about growing older.
Well, it's because the crazy lady told her that.
I
mean, she was like,
it's one of those few times somebody's actually able to get to her.
It really was. That was a very strange point for me, because it's rare that they can actually get to her because she's so logical.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But anyway, I don't want to make this one go too long. But I mean, like I said, this episode was just simply amazing. It was.
It was.
It's been my favorite episode of this season. It's the episodes are getting better as we keep going, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. Like almost to the point where I want to do it tomorrow night. The next episode is the newest episode, and it deals directly with the Mandela effect. And anybody who has paid any attention over the past couple of months, I know I've talked about it on the air quite a bit. I'm a big fan of the Mandela effect, which is basically where people remember certain things, which, speaking of, happened on our page today. A guy sent us a message.
Okay, first up, let me just explain this to you, okay? Mandela effect, okay, it's more than one person. It's a mass amount of people say a certain thing happened. This one person thought we were Untitled Geek Network.
I'm going to go ahead and go on record as saying we had a comment where somebody else thought the same thing. And
where? I didn't see it. Today? Was it today? Somebody else commented that.
In the comments. Yeah.
Not the same person.
No. Oh.
Okay, so 2 people. I'm sorry, y'all. It was 2 people.
Okay, so there were 5 comments. 2 of the 5 comments were people saying, hey, I remember this. And
it's also something that could easily be confused. Just like the spelling of things.
No.
Yes, because when your brain reads something, it looks at the first and last letter.
Absolutely.
That's why they do sight words in school now, instead of teaching people how to read, which is what they really should do. That's just my personal opinion. They should be teaching people how to read. They should.
Oh, we have 9 comments on this. Okay, so this guy sent us a message today, and he was like, "Hey, Mandela effect, weird. I could have swore you guys were Untitled Geek Network." And I was like, no, we used to be Untitled Nerd Podcast, but then we changed like 2 years ago to Untitled Nerd Network. And he was like, no, you were Untitled Geek Network at some point. And I said, no, we weren't. Sorry. But then we had a lady named Samantha who says, I thought it was Untitled Geek Network also. And the guy said, I just liked y'all's page like a year ago. Mm-hmm. And somebody pointed out there was an Untitled Geek Network out there. But this guy liked our page a year ago. Untitled Geek Network has 28 fans and has not posted since 2012. 3 years before we ever became a page.
And?
There's no way we got them mixed up with it.
Okay, no way. No way, because, people Googled it and said it was there.
And then Jack, the original poster, says, at least it's not just me. And she says, honestly, I don't know why I always thought that. It's just so weird. So anyway, another glitch in the Matrix is what they're saying.
Okay, yeah.
So anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this up.
Please do. I'd like to, give my thoughts on the show.
Go
ahead. I'm just saying. I'm going to give it a 9. It was a really good episode.
I don't know why I didn't.
What, because you're too busy?
I think I just got too tied up in the...
Too busy with talking about the freaking Mandela effect. Which, I'm not going to lie, on some things I totally, believe it. But the spellings of words,
Zach,
you can't get me with that.
I don't want to mispronounce your name. I'm going to guess Zach Hunsaker.
Zach? What on earth? Nigerians. What is this about?
Okay, so originally this started out as a review of the third episode of the 11th season of X-Files.
Lonnie got sidetracked.
But then I got sidetracked
and then tried to end the video before I gave my thoughts on it.
Next episode that we're probably going to be reviewing tomorrow night is actually an X-Files episode based on the Mandela effect. And so I got sidetracked talking about the Mandela effect and how it's actually happened on our page. So now the floor is to Amber to continue talking about the X-Files.
Anyway, I'm going to give it a 9. It was a really good episode. You know what was really the big twist? Or, well, not really a twist, but the little, thing at the end where they were looking at all the hangmans and it had mom and dad. Those were probably the first people they killed were their parents.
Yes.
It's pretty fucked up. It's pretty messed up. And then they figured out, hey, we can kill people this way.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It was scary. This was kind of scary. This episode was a little scary.
I mean, it was, because you really had no clue. My first thought was that...
Because mental illness is so legit.
I was thinking that people's spirits were, leaving their bodies and killing them.
I don't know.
Just craziness. Or, I mean, this wasn't much different.
Could you imagine seeing a double yourself and then it trying to kill you? That was scary. And it takes a lot to scare me, but that was pretty scary.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have irrational fears.
Yeah. I'm sitting there thinking about it.
But, yeah.
All right.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
9.5.
9.5.
You gave it a 9.5.
Oh, yeah.
Duh.
I thought you were you were tossed up between.
No, I'm not. I don't give half points. You know that. I think it's silly.
I was thinking about giving it 9 3/4.
Let's wrap this. I'm Amberlicious.
9.5. I'm Lonnie, and we're... I'm almost done with that cough, I promise.
No, you ain't. You got another week.
And we're Untitled Network, brought to you by Infinity Flux out of Hickson, Tennessee. This has been the episode review, the third episode of X-Files 11th season. It's called Plus One. Really good episode. And I'm really looking forward to our next review about the Mandela effect. I don't know what that episode's called, but really looking forward to it.
I thought it was called Mandela effect.
It may be, but I don't know. But anyway, this is been the latest review of the X-Files. Thanks everybody for watching. The few people who dropped in a little bit, Devasso, appreciate you coming on. The other dude,
Zach.
Even though this wasn't his cup of tea,
he was like, okay, bye.
Thanks for coming in anyway. And we'll see everybody. I'll be on tomorrow morning doing a live game stream. Haven't decided the game yet, but you will see me in the morning.
Probably Chrono Trigger. That's probably what it's going to be. Whatever, it's going to be.
And anyway, see everybody later. Thanks for watching.
Bye.